Hi everybody, welcome to my homestead and welcome to my channel. My name is Jared. What you're looking at here is what the eclipse looked like in 2017. And what I didn't know until I got a text from Mindy. She's the one that does the Temples of Jesus channel. Make sure to check her out. I'll put a link for her channel in the description box below. But she sent me a text letting me know about this Newsweek article that came out that talked about the fact that this upcoming eclipse in 2024 is going to look more like this. It looks like a sunflower or something like that. It looks amazing. It's pretty dramatic when you compare the two. Okay, 2017, and then the one coming up is going to look something like this. This one is from 1980. But why do they look so different? They're both eclipses. They're not annual or annular eclipses. They're total eclipses. So what's the difference between these two, and why do they look so dramatically different? Well, let's look into that. I got this article from Newsweek called "Last Total Solar Eclipse Before." Oh my gosh. Last total solar eclipse for decades, expected to be even more jaw-dropping. So we'll look at that in just a minute. I want to bring up one thing that I failed to mention in the video I did about the Viña del Mar fire in Chile. So a couple of you pointed out that there's actually a temple announced for Viña del Mar. And when I had my Google Earth up, I thought I had thoroughly gone through all the temples and added all of them. You can see all the place marks right here, all these little white and blue and green dots. Here, let me turn off borders so it's a little bit less busy. But somehow I missed Viña del Mar, and that's where you have this fire that's been going on over the last few days in the region of Valparaiso, which means Valley of Paradise. Which made me instantly think of President Nelson's first year as president of the church. He had the Paradise, California fire that destroyed that town. And now something very similar is happening in the Valley of Paradise in Chile. But specifically, so that's the region. The main city in that region that's been affected is Viña del Mar, which means vineyard of the sea. So you have a vineyard that's being burnt. And I definitely think that there's something symbolic about that. Well, to add to it, there's a temple that's announced for this area. It's really interesting. Let's look really quick before we move on to the eclipse and why it looks so interesting. Just remember, I have this spreadsheet where I'm keeping track of what I feel are bookmarks to President Nelson's presidency. And we had the Paradise, California fire, November 8th, 2018, his first year as president of the church. And then I thought, okay, well, we just had Lahaina in August of 2023. And, you know, it was a very similar event. A town was burnt by fire, mostly destroyed. And I felt like it was probably a bookend. You know, he had this big fire or this city destroyed by fire in his first year, a city destroyed by fire in 2023. Things have been getting interesting lately, and I think 2024 is going to be a very important year. Well, now we have this fire to add to the list, the Valparaiso Chile fire, which I feel like is even an even better bookmark because it includes the name or the word paradise in it. So I'm paying attention to that, but just so you know, yeah, there is a temple that's announced for that location. Okay, so now let's talk about what's going to be happening with this upcoming eclipse the day after conference on April 8th. I'm just going to read part of this article. The upcoming total solar eclipse on April 8th is expected to be a rare event thanks to the sun being more active. Okay, so this is the reason why, because the sun is more active, a solar physicist told Newsweek. The celestial phenomenon in April will be, which will pass over a vast majority of the United States, Mexico, and Canada, coincides with the peak of a solar maximum when the sun is exceptionally active, according to forecasters with NASA and the U.S. National Center for Atmospheric Research, NCAR. Okay. Just as a reminder, let's go back to Google Earth. I was able to download from NASA the path of all these eclipses. So the one that we're looking at in April is this one right here. Let me turn off that. Okay, so we're looking at this one right here. I recently did a video talking about the major sites that the path of totality are going to go over. Let me turn that on. I'll turn off temples for now. We have this. We have the Sacred Grove. We have Fayette, where the church was established. Menden, early home of Brigham Young and Heber C. Kimball. I got that from the church history maps in the quad of your scriptures. And it's also going to go over the Kirtland Temple. It's going to go over Hiram, Ohio, the third headquarters of the church, and then Amherst, where Joseph Smith was sustained as president of the high priesthood. So you have these significant locations. You know, we've already talked about the fact that we also had the 2017 eclipse, which went over Adam-ondi-Ahman, Far West, Independence, Missouri, or in other words, New Jerusalem. And then we had the one just a few months ago that went over Utah. And it took the one path that it could take to miss as many temples as possible in Utah. The only one that it went over that was in operation at the time was the Monticello, Utah temple. So in my mind, these eclipses are for the world. They're signs to the world, but especially to members of the church, because they go over significant locations or they miss significant locations in the case of Utah. All right, so let's get back to this. During a solar maximum, the sun more frequently spews coronal mass ejections, or CMEs, which are massive eruptions of magnetized plasma from the sun's outer atmosphere called the corona, Brasher said. These CMEs cause a spike in geomagnetic storms and solar flares, as well as, quote-unquote, generate spectacular auroras, he said. Scott McIntosh, a solar physicist with NCAR, told Newsweek in an interview on Sunday night that the solar eclipse in April will be an quote-unquote incredible event because of all that activity. And so I guess we can expect to see something like this. You know, this is a big one. This is gonna, I feel like this eclipse is going to be really big. The reason why is because it seems like these are a series of eclipses, these three eclipses, okay, as far as signs go for the church. And this is the last one. And it's going over where the church was organized, the Sacred Grove, where the restoration started. And it's going over Kirtland, the site of the first temple in this dispensation. It's huge. I'd also like to take into account and remind you that we have all these other things that are kind of coinciding with 2024, but especially the first part of 2024. So it's going to be President Nelson's 7th year as president of the church. 7. He is in his 100th age, or his 100th year of life. He's 99, but he's in his 100th year. And then when he turns 100 years old on September 9th, that's when he'll have completed 100 years. But he's in his 100th year right now. He's given 40 talks as president of the church, 111 talks as an apostle. And on Sunday during conference, it's going to be his 40-year anniversary being an apostle. So he'll have completed 40 years and he'll be entering into his 41st year. So right now he's in his 40th year as an apostle. So it's all very interesting, very strange timing. All these things coming together right now. It's 20 years since President Oaks gave his talk about the second coming. And then after he gave that talk, that's when we had a lot of things take off, a lot of disasters, wildfires in particular, as well as earthquakes. It's a talk where he did a bullet point list of the signs of the times and what members of the church should look for. And then this April General Conference is going to be 5 years from the time that President Nelson said time is running out. And I actually just covered that talk in a recent video. 5 years from the time that he said time is running out. And I have to wonder if it's a Samuel the Lamanite type situation where we're reaching that time where we know that 5 years has gone by. We may not know the day or the hour, but it may be really close to this time, early 2024. 7 years since the 2017 eclipse. Another seven. And then on top of that, we're entering into solar maximum, and that's what this article is all about, which is seems like it's going to produce images like this, and it's truly a wonder. This is incredible looking. I mean, this right here is already pretty amazing, but like, oh my gosh, this one is so much more. It just like stands out more, I think. Just a few more things. While there are roughly 2 solar eclipses visible somewhere on Earth per year, totality happens less frequently. Yeah, you know that there's the 2 types of eclipses, right? There's total eclipses and annular eclipses. Annular eclipses is when the moon is further from the Earth in its orbit, and so you don't get the total effect as when it's closer. A total solar eclipse occurs when the moon passes between the sun and Earth and completely blocks the view of the sun, leading to momentary darkness. The April eclipse will be the last total solar eclipse visible in the U.S. until 2044, according to NASA. Now, I have this spreadsheet where I'm keeping track of these locations up here and when they will or when they have experienced either annular or total eclipses. And it's not very often. You have this one in 1925, just a few months after President Nelson was born. It went over the Sacred Grove, as well as New York and Fayette. There was an annular eclipse over Jerusalem in 1933. And then we don't see anything else all the way until 1994. It was an annular eclipse, but it went over 5 different locations: Fayette, Sacred Grove, Hiram, Ohio, Kirtland, and Independence, the site of the future New Jerusalem. All right, and then we had one in St. George, 2012. Then we had the 2017 eclipse. I went over Adam-on-Diamond, Far West, and Independence. And now this one that's going to go over 4 sites: Fayette, Sacred Grove, Hiram, Ohio, and Kirtland, Ohio. And then we don't see anything on this spreadsheet with these locations until 2045. So I don't know the path right now of the one that was mentioned in the Newsweek article in 2044. But in 2045, we're going to have a total eclipse that goes over Salt Lake. And then a couple of years after that, an annular eclipse that's going to go over Winter Quarters, the 6th headquarters of the church. And then we're not going to see anything until 2077, and it's going to be Salt Lake again, but it'll be an annular eclipse. But there's not really any period of time from the year 1900 until the year 2199 that compares to these last few years. This is the only time that you see something like this. This and then 1994. These are the most dramatic years for all these locations. Jerusalem, Rome, New York City, Fayette, Washington, D.C., Sacred Grove, Hiram, Ohio, Kirtland, Nauvoo, Adam-on-Diamond, Far West, Independence, Missouri, Winter Quarters, Salt Lake City, and St. George. This is it. This is it. That's why I think that we should pay attention, especially since these eclipses go over significant sites of the church. And that's pretty much it. So I just wanted to put this on your radar. Thank you, Mindy, for sending me the article. Also make sure to check out Jen Stevens with Christian Fire Poppy. She's the one, or I was talking to her about this eclipse the fire down here in Valparaiso in Chile. And she brought up a few interesting things when I was talking to her on the phone. Interesting things when it comes to Chile and Argentina, with like this new president in Argentina and what he's doing, Pope Francis being from there, and the video that I did about that statue in Argentina that was struck by lightning that destroyed the keys in the hands of Saint Peter, and it took off his halo and stuff. Go check out that video. Just do a search for statue and it'll come up. But anyway, she's drawn some interesting connections between Argentina and the Pope and everything, and Chile and President Nelson, because remember, President Nelson's only dedicated a few temples total. He did one when he was president of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles in Japan, in Sapporo, Japan. And then his very first temple that he, the very first temple that he dedicated as president of the church was this one, the Concepcion, Chile temple. Okay. And then we have this one that's been announced for Viña del Mar. In fact, was it President Nelson that announced that? Yeah, it was announced the 1st of October 2023. So that's President Nelson. So he announced this one that's in a location that is currently burning, a vineyard of the sea that's burning in a region called Valley of Paradise. And then the other nickname for Viña del Mar is Garden City. So anyway, she's drawn some interesting connections between Chile and President Nelson, and Argentina and the Pope. And she told me that she's going to be doing a video soon. So make sure to subscribe to her channel and check that out whenever she puts that out. All right, well, that's going to be it for this one. So if you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe, like this video if you liked it, leave your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. Also make sure to share it, and I'll talk to you guys later.